Today I've got 12 fragrances that really punch above their weight class. Every one of these, what you get for what you pay for, is pretty astonishing. I've got some brand new fragrances in here. I've also got some that have been out for a little while, but I think I've pretty much got something for everyone. We're going to dive into this list, but before we do, remember to subscribe if you haven't done that yet. Also consider giving the video a like if you like it, and let me know down below, have you tried any of these and what do you think? All right, first up, this one is brand new and one that I really tried to get a hold of for about 6 months. But it was one of those that came out and a few content creators got it and you just couldn't get it forever. I'm talking about this one right here, Fragrance World's F.A. Paris brand, Liquid Brun. And this one is, of course, a clone of Parfums de Marly Altaire. And this is a gorgeous, gorgeous fragrance. It's kind of a vanilla gourmand fragrance that's got some very noticeable praline in the fragrance. So it's sort of this kind of darker, almost nutty kind of take on a spiced vanilla fragrance. It's absolutely gorgeous. This is really good stuff. And now you can find it for less than $50, Liquid Brun by F.A. Paris. I've got another one here that is brand new. I'd never heard of it until one of you mentioned that this was out, and I really was interested in the original. I'd smelled it in stores, and I just didn't want to pay out for it. But now Fragrance World has made a clone of Prada's Luna Rossa Ocean, the EDT, which had an iris note. This one's actually an EDP concentration, but it is the DNA of the EDT. This is Pride Marine Red Moon. And so this one is a blue fragrance, and it's got sort of a deep aquatic, rich aquatic blue fragrance, something like Dylan Blue in the base and the mid, but the iris note, it is discernible. It's not sort of a warm, waxy iris like, DHI or something. It's more like the iris note you would find in the Le Beau fragrance, the Parfum. So something in that realm. It is a gorgeous, fresh, everyday wear blue fragrance with, again, an iris note. Now, the jury is still out on performance. I've only had this a few days. I've been testing, and I'm really only discerning it for a few hours, but I do tend to go nose blind to fragrances like this, and it's brand new. It needs to sit a couple weeks. I'd be shocked if it ends up with terrible performance, but I will get back to you on that one. All right, next up, this one is actually not a clone, but it is just an insanely good fragrance you can get for the price of a clone. I've seen this for $35, less than $40 all day long. This is an absolutely stunning fall and winter fragrance. It's coffee and whiskey and leather. I'm talking about this one right here, Halloween Man X. It got a lot of hype when it came out. It kind of put the Halloween Man line on the map in a big way. And this is just a gorgeous, gorgeous fragrance. If it were to come out from, Paco Rabanne, or if it were to come out from Ferragamo, like one of the Uomo fragrances, one of these more mainline brands, then you wouldn't bat an eye and you would say, wow, what an incredible deal. And I'm telling you, this one is absolutely gorgeous. There's actually a little bit of freshness in the opening of this one, kind of like the original 1 Million. And then you go into those rich, dark notes with a good bit of spice and vanilla. Halloween Man X. Really good stuff. All right, this next one, this is like a $25 fragrance. Last time I checked on Amazon, I'll put links to these that I can find in the description. And this is it's a clone of a flanker of the Stronger With You line, but this is the one with leather, Stronger With You leather. And this is Ard Al Zaffaron Majestic Gold 24 Hours. And it is, to my nose, and I have not smelled the original, but to my nose, this is Stronger With You with a leather note. And it's a very nice leather note, a realistic, slightly animalic leather note with all of that warm, ambery, vanillic, slightly spiced sweet, warm goodness with this leather note that blankets the whole thing. It's gorgeous, very impressive for the price. Ardell's offer on Oud 24 Hours Majestic Gold. All right, next up, this is one that got a ton of hype when it came out because it was one of the first inexpensive dupes of Elysium, Raja Parfums Elysium. This is Fragrance World's Imperium. And I've seen this all over, Amazon, usually for $25 or less. And they did a really good job with this one. I get 6-7 hours easy out of this fragrance. It is a gorgeous, sweet citrus blackcurrant opening with a grassy green vetiver and some woodiness in the base with some aroma chemicals. So it is in the vein of a blue fragrance, but it's got some very distinctive nuances that let you know exactly what this is cloning whenever you spray it on. They nailed the sweet citrus opening and the grassy green vetiver. Imperium by Fragrance World. All right, next, this is another one from Fragrance World. There's going to be only a couple more from Fragrance World in this video, but they've done a great job over the past year. This one is a clone of probably one of my favorite winter fragrances. I do have the original. This is a clone of Guerlain L'Homme Ideal EDP, and this is Fragrance World's Supreme L'Homme EDP. And this is basically an almond fragrance with a very distinct cherry note. And then there's a good bit of freshness in a fragrance with some very dominant sort of thick, rich, sweet notes. And so it provides, rather than a really sickly sweet, dense fragrance, kind of a fresh, uplifting, quite sweet fragrance with almond and cherry. It's gorgeous. If you've tried the original, this one's actually quite close. Supreme L'Homme EDP. We've got one that is from a brand I'd never heard of. Some of you have let me know they've got a bunch of fragrances and they're actually all very impressive. This one is a clone of a Kilian fragrance that I'd never smelled a clone of. I have smelled the original, I don't own it. This one's a clone of Kilian Back to Black, which is a dark, boozy, leathery fragrance with a good bit of sweetness and a good bit of spice. As soon as I smelled it, I didn't know what it was duping, but I immediately said, this is a Kilian fragrance. They did a fantastic job on the boozy note. This is Kamara Perfumes El Dorado Kingdom. And it was one of those random rack store finds. I picked it up and I was absolutely blown away. It's become one of my favorite evening fragrances. Really looking forward to the weather cooling down a little so I can wear it in other kinds of settings. This is a very niche smelling fragrance and it is a very high quality smelling fragrance. So again, El Dorado Kingdom by Kamar Perfumes. All right, next. Let's go with another one that's not a clone. This one was a hype monster back 4 or 5 years ago. Jeremy Fragrance blew it up. I think it's one of his favorite fragrances, and it's a super cheapie. Ferragamo does a really good job with that. This is F Black by Salvatore Ferragamo, and it is a spicy fragrance that's got some resins that are going to remind you of leather. It's been compared to La Nuit de l'Homme, but La Nuit de l'Homme has significantly more sweetness than this fragrance. This is one of those fragrances that is subtle enough that whenever you wear it, you may go nose blind or you may not realize that it is a powerful projection monster. It's very long lasting. 4 or 5 sprays of this are going to last you all day, but it is spiced with black pepper rather than cardamom, and it has a similar structure as La Nuit de l'Homme with less sweetness. It was at sometimes called a clone of La Nuit de l'Homme, but it definitely is not a clone. F Black by Ferragamo. All right, next, we'll go with one that is a super cheapy clone. This one is ridiculous, insane. Probably 15 of you have told me you bought it after seeing me mention it on the channel, and I'm telling you, this is an incredible clone of Tom Ford Tobacco Vanille. This is Belcam Bold Tobacco. You know, it doesn't look that impressive. There's a sticker on the front. It's got this, cheap, thin cap here. but what you get is a gorgeous, dark tobacco vanilla fragrance. This one has all the same spices as the Tom Ford, but it is a bit of a licorice forward version of Tobacco Vanille. I love licorice. It's a sweet, spicy fragrance. You've got some cinnamon, you've got some clove, you've got some pepper, you've got some licorice with vanilla and tobacco. This is incredible. Usually for around $10 is what you can get this for. Absolutely amazing. All right, next we'll go with this one from AROF. This is, whenever this one came out, I hadn't bought SAAGE yet, but I love SAAGE. It's just, you know, at that time, it may still be, but you couldn't get it for less than $100. You probably still can't. And this one came out and they did a really good job of capturing the essence of Dior Sauvage. I think one of the best blue fragrances ever made. I don't care what anybody says. This is AROF's The Pride of AROF. And it is right in between the EDT of Sauvage and the EDP. It's not quite as loud, abrasive, metallic in the opening, which I like that about the EDT. It's a little softer like the EDP, but if you like Dior Sauvage, that sort of citrus, peppery, metallic, ambroxan bomb, then you're going to like this one as well, The Pride of AROF by AROF. All right, and 2 more to go. This next one is also a clone, and this is what I would consider to be a high-end clone. It's going to be in that $50 range, maybe even $55, but it is a higher quality clone without question. The performance, the complexity, sort of the layers of the fragrance and the texture that you get, this line, every one of them that I've smelled is like that. This is BAROUSEGE, and it is a clone of by Kilian Angel Share. So it is that gorgeous, boozy, kind of sweet, marshmallowy, cinnamon goodness. It's sort of a golden smelling fragrance. It's this warm, you know, spicy, boozy, gorgeous fragrance, sort of vanillic, cinnamon spiced boozy fragrance. They did an excellent job. This one is quite smooth, it's quite impressive, and it's also quite long lasting. So again, BAROUSEGE. Some have said it's a more summer take on that DNA. It's definitely a very sweet fragrance, but it is lightened a bit. I have wondered if there's a splash of BR540 in there, but I don't know. And finally, number 12. This one is an oldie but a goodie. Hopefully most of you have this. If you don't, you may want to pause the video and hop over to Amazon and grab it. If you can get this for $25, it's one of the most impressive pipe tobacco fragrances you can buy. This is Rayon Traditions Insurrection 2 Wild, and it is a gorgeous pipe tobacco fragrance, kind of a cherry pipe tobacco with some vanilla, with some chocolate. It is dark, it's powerful, it's strong, it's long lasting. It will fill a room. I actually took a friend of mine like a 10 ml decant of this over the weekend. They absolutely loved it. He was blown away by it. So again, Insurrection 2 Wild. It's actually a clone of Pure Havana, a discontinued Mugler fragrance. And man, it is so incredible. So that's been 12, but I want to hear your picks for some of these either inexpensive or even clone fragrances that you say this is like unreasonable how good this is for the price. I'd love to hear from you in the comments. Remember to give the video a like if you liked it, and also consider subscribing. I've got videos like this coming out every couple days. I'm Justin. This is SAAGE Scents.